June 10th, 2014. My name is Jason Glenn Parsons and I'm an autistic self-advocate. Yesterday I did a video talking about the occupational struggles that autistics have. Today in this video I want to talk about the specific types of jobs that are perfect for autistics. And to understand what these jobs are, as I mentioned at the beginning or at the end of the previous video, is that you need to ask yourself, what do employers actually need from their employees? Okay, most employers do not need social skills, okay, minimal social skills, okay, especially when you're talking about construction and fast food, stuff like that. Having great social skills is actually a liability because your boss wants you to work, not socialize, okay? And so when you're talking about these occupational struggles, it does not begin and end with the subject of socialization. It begins and ends with what do the employers need from their employees, and what jobs are there which autistics are perfect for meeting those types of needs. Okay, and one of the things that is well known about autistics is that they excel in structured environments, and I don't have time to do the 6-hour seminar to explain to you all the science behind it, but nevertheless, this is an established fact that autistics succeed better in environments with structure, and this principle is used to help younger and lower functioning autistics deal with reduce the frequency and intensity of their meltdowns, okay, yet it is not applied to, okay, what jobs have the most structure, and at the top of the list, the military, okay, and but nevertheless, there's one autistic who claims that he was discharged from the military once he received his autism diagnosis. I don't have the ability to confirm this as to whether or not having an autism diagnosis is an automatic disqualifier from the military, because the way it's viewed by society, I would imagine that it would be an automatic disqualifier, because of these perceptions. And when you're talking about, okay, walking into an ambush, while on a patrol, okay, yeah, I'm not sure that autistics would be able to, respond well in a situation like that. However, we do have heightened sensory perceptions. Many of us do. I tend to go the opposite way in a lot of these areas, but as far as hyper acuity to sound and movement and smell, well, that would actually help improve the chances of the autistic seeing the ambush in time. Now, of course, that's hard to really figure out, but nevertheless, that there is that, counter argument to the assumption that autistics would be a liability on the battlefront. So, okay, let's forget about that. Let's talk about cyber warfare. Okay, where autistics, yes, we have our personality, our social oddities, but then again, so do all these computer geniuses too. You think that maybe that these computer geniuses were autistics that managed to not get diagnosed, and so bottom line is, yeah, Al-Qaeda is so backwards that they're not smart enough to know that, to know what an autistic is and all these liabilities. So what are they going to do? They're going to put them to work, conducting cyber warfare when it's clear to them that that's what they excel at is computers, okay? And so why not use autistics in that capacity if they want to serve their country, assuming that they have that particular skill set. Another thing the autistics are really good at doing is, like I said, following procedures as far as doing maintenance and repairs. They would be stickler for the details, and as far as, if you put an autistic, with mechanical abilities up against a neurotypical, I have extreme confidence that autistic, because their attention to detail, will wind up having fewer malfunctions on the battlefield than the neurotypical. Okay, so when it comes right down to it, yes, there are things that autistics can do, for the military, and therefore they should not automatically be disqualified from serving in the most perfect environment imaginable just because they happen to have these, because they happen to have autism. Okay, and another thing is that, autistics, okay, as I mentioned in the previous video, one of our struggles is our executive functioning, which is a frontal lobe issue. Okay, there is an overwhelming amount of data to support that one of the countermeasures that autistics inherently have, just like a blind person acquires acute hearing in other senses, well, autistics also have the same type of countermeasures built in, and that is our memorization, our ability to remember things, and and I would contend that if you put an autistic in any kind of memorization contest with neurotypicals, the autistics are going to win. Okay, and this is pretty much, there's enough, documentation about this that it boggles my mind that this isn't part of the official view of autism that is presented by these autism experts, to show, what autistics can do, instead of focusing on how pathetically inept we are and assuming that we should just all be, denied the opportunity to prove ourselves, and so basically, what I'm looking at as far as, jobs that involved memorization and routine, any kind of accounting, and health and safety inspection, because basically, you can memorize the entire book and be much more precise in doing these inspections. Dealing with money, you have to, for a corporation, there's a dozen people that have to read the books, not including the IRS, and in other regulatory agencies. And so, yes, there has to be a set system that everybody abides by. So you're not going to have one supervisor one day tell you to do things one way, and a different supervisor the next day tell you doing something completely different, which does happen in a lot of jobs. And so there are these jobs out there that are good paying jobs that autistics can do, in which they're not just simply charity cases. And the thing is, I have a younger sister who has Down syndrome. Okay, her back in 2000. I haven't gotten some more recent information on her as far as talking to any of her therapists. But the last time I talked, she was in her mid-20s, and her lowest areas of functionality was her writing and literacy skills. So as far as some of her cognitive functioning, some of them was as high as a 14-year-old, okay, which is very limited, but nevertheless there are jobs out there, that somebody like her can do. Why should I be stealing a job from her or somebody like her when I can be doing a job that's way beyond them? And that's part of the problem with how the experts are dealing with autistics, is that they're treating us all like we're low functioning. When it comes to dealing with these occupational issues, they're not taking the time to really understand what autistics are capable of doing. And particularly here in Phoenix, Arizona, the number one autism experts, Southwest Autism Research Center, I went and I talked to them about their employment options, and they were all charity case jobs, charity case vocations. And like I said, somebody like my little sister, yes, they could use those types of jobs. I should not be stealing jobs from my little sister when I am much higher functioning, and yet that is the only jobs that SARC will help you find. Well, being a volunteer librarian, there's some people that are happy with doing that, particularly if they're strong readers. But that's the that's the highest functioning job that SART can set you up with, is being a volunteer librarian. That's it. And it might turn into part-time employment. I know it did turn into part-time employment for one members of our group, and she's happy with that, and I'm glad she's happy with that. But the thing is, there's not enough of these charity case jobs for every autistic, and like I said, we shouldn't be stealing them from those who actually need them. So that's the biggest issue, is that we need to like I said, look at what autistics are capable of, and finding the employers that need those specific skill sets, and not just say, oh, we're different, and maybe we can find a job where people think differently. There's more to autism than just we're different and we think differently. You need to get that out of your minds, that is all that there is to autism, is that we're wired differently. There is far more to autism than that. And until society gets that through their heads, autistics will continue to struggle with these issues.